Hi, my name's Isaac, and as some of you guys may have noticed, I'm a Christian. Aunt Jemima sure noticed. Sorry, Aunt Jemima, but I will not be talking about religion less. I hope there's no hard feelings. But, recently I felt as a Christian I should incorporate more Christian elements into my channel, so I've been doing Bible verses, prayer requests, but I figured the best thing I could do was dedicate an entire video to a cool God story. And so I'm going to tell you guys about how God used something that I perceived as really bad and then helped teach me a lesson in my anger, and I think you're really going to like it. Even if you're not religious, I'd stick around. It's a pretty cool story. Let's get started. So our story begins about a year ago. I got picked for jury duty, and a side note, I loved jury duty. I thought I would hate it, and the double sucky part is that I actually got picked last, and I'm like, oh, I was so close to not getting picked for the jury. But turns out, love jury duty. It is just like the movies. It is crazy how much like the movies it is. There was objections. There was, I want a sidebar right now. There was a witness who got caught in a lie, and he was sweating, and the judge was like, you're gonna have to answer that correctly, Mr. Garrison or whatever his name was. Like, you're gonna have to answer this correctly. And I was like, oh my goodness, like we're taking notes down. I was like, this is crazy. I thought it was gonna be something boring. And it wasn't even like a murder case or whatever. It was like a pretty substandard medical malpractice case. I would absolutely do it again. So if you ever get picked for jury duty, don't worry, it's not that bad. Moving on, I was driving back from jury duty one of the days, and I was going through kind of a downtown part of the city, and I'm driving, and these kids, I could see them winding up to throw a rock. And I'm like, oh, don't do it. Like they're about a block ahead, and I'm like, don't do it. I had my windows down. I literally yelled, don't do it. And they threw a rock at my truck, and it dented in this whole door. Like this whole door was caved in, and I did not have time to notice that because I handbrake turned and whipped the truck around and chased them down the street because they were on a street corner. So they didn't expect that, I don't think. And I chased them and I lost them. But I was so mad, I was fuming. I called the police and they came and they're like, well, there's not much we can do. We can file a report. And I said, yeah, I guess I understand. Because I was like, what do you do in that situation? I guess call the police or let it go. Retrospectively, I think I would have let it go now. Because thinking back on that, these kids are out here at 1:32 in the afternoon on a school day, and clearly they're not in school. So my guess is they probably don't have a good parental structure, and so they run with the city kids, and that's what's cool. It's cool to throw rocks at vehicles and hurt people, and they just don't think. These kids were probably about 11, 12 years old. They were young, and in that moment, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I wasn't thinking about, oh, well, why are these kids doing this? There's probably a reason. They're probably very hurting, and they're looking for this outlet. In the moment, I was just fuming. I wanted them to pay for my damage. I think retrospectively, that's what I would have done if I would have caught them. I would have said, hey, where's your parents? I want you to pay for this. But I'm thankful I didn't catch them, because I don't know what I would have done if I did. I was so angry that day. I was so angry, in fact, that I went home. We had dinner that night with my family, and I left. I left dinner because I was so mad about this. I was so mad that my brand new truck was dented in, and I couldn't let it go. It consumed me to think about this door. I hadn't got a price estimate to fix it. I hadn't, maybe it was free under my warranty. I didn't know, but I was so mad I let that consume me. And it just radiated in my mind, like, oh, I wish I would have caught those kids. I wish I would have gotten them to pay for this, all this. And eventually, though, I did realize, like what I said, is these kids, I don't think that they're purposefully going out to do that to hurt people. I think they need love. And nobody's loving them, so they just run with these other kids that probably need love, and they go, oh, let's take our anger, let's take our aggression out at the people that have hurt us by throwing these rocks or whatever. And so, thankfully, I got grace that I did not deserve from God, and I found a guy that fixed this panel for 80 bucks. And you can still see there's a little tiny line of touch-up paint here, but this is all that remains, is this little line right here, this little scar, and you wouldn't even notice it. Like, I'd have to point it out for you to even notice that the door was dinged at all, and that was something that I totally didn't deserve, but it was a blessing from God nonetheless. So I kind of learned my lesson there, and I went, I can't keep letting things like this control me. And so flash forward about a year again to 2 months ago. So 2 months ago, I'm out with my friend kayaking on a very calm lake. And I had my truck key, just the key. I had brought that out and we had a lockbox. So I had this key in the lockbox. I didn't have the rest of my key ring on it. And I said, hey, can you pass me the key? I want to show you how far I can remote start the truck from, because we were about halfway, middle of the lake. And I said, oh, I want to remote start my truck from here. And I could have just said, hey, open it up. It's 3 times on the lock. Let's see if it works. But instead I was like, can you hand it to me? And we're about, like, literally touch his kayak from where my hand was. But just as he got it out of the box, a swell came up and knocked our boats together, and he dropped the key right in the middle of us, and I just missed it with my hand. And that key, this key, Toyota keys, sink like a rock, like this, just whoo. And he jumped in, and we couldn't find it. And in that moment, as he came up for air, I realized I had a decision to make. I could either let this ruin my day again, like this dent did, or I could forgive him and say, okay, I forgive you. Things happen. Let's move on. And I realized that I had to forgive him. So he comes up out of the water and he's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. You know, he's freaking out. And I said, I forgive you. First thing I said was, I forgive you. It's okay. I said, I don't want this to ruin my day. And I told him the story of the rock and the Toyota. And I said, and this is, if you take anything from this video, take this. I love my truck. It's really cool. I use it for a lot of stuff. I'm so thankful that I could afford it, and after saving up for so long. In 30 years, this is going to be in a junkyard. This is going to be a pile of scrap metal. I'll have these videos and pictures to remember it by. This doesn't matter. This truck does not matter. And okay, it has a dent in it. Okay, I lost the key for it. Who cares? Heck, you know, like, the key's not going to matter. It doesn't matter. And in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, eternity with God, that's what matters. You know, I'd like to have a dent in my door and be missing a key and go to heaven than have my truck perfect and go to hell. I mean, like, I was like, in the grand scheme of things, that dent doesn't matter. Losing the key doesn't matter. And in that moment, I had the choice, and I chose, I believe, wisely, not to let it ruin my day. And we kept kayaking. We kept kayaking around, and unfortunately, we checked later, but it's about 30 feet deep there in that section, so I have no hopes of ever finding the key. And then the next week, him and I went 50-50 on a new key. I wouldn't let him pay for the whole one because it is, I would say, more so my fault that I even got it out of the lockbox. And so we got a new key. I have a backup key now again, and it's good. Everything's good, and I didn't let my anger control me. And you know, it was really interesting. The day after the key thing happened, I still didn't have my key yet, but I had my spare, so I could. By the way, real quick, my mom is the real hero of this story because she drove 40 minutes to that lake to give me the backup key so I could actually start my truck and we could leave. So thank you, Mom. I really appreciate it if you're watching this video. The moral of this story is that God taught me that holding on to my anger is only hurting me. Those kids that threw the rock are probably not the first car that they threw a rock at. And that's God's job to deal with them. Like, I pray for them. I pray that they get in the right programs with, like, at school or whatever, if they're going to school, or they get the right mentors. But that's God to deal with that. I don't know if they're even thinking about that. I don't know if they remember ever even throwing the rock at my truck. I was harboring that anger. That was the only person that was hurting was me. And I realized that if I let that key go, the key was just going to hurt me too. I was going to be so angry at losing this key. I was going to be so angry at my friend. And the best part of it was that friend thanked me later. Oh, I'm going to tear up a little bit. And he said, Isaac, thank you so much for not freaking out at me, because I've had other people that I would call friends that have screamed at me in anger at much less. I have done much less than drop their car key into a lake, their brand new truck key into a lake, and they have freaked out at me and screamed. And you forgave me, and I just thank you, because I don't know how to deal with that. And that was the most rewarding thing, because I didn't have nothing was with me anymore. I didn't care about the key. Like I said, it's just a big hunk of scrap with an engine. You know, it serves me now, but there'll be another truck in the future, and then Isaac won't exist at some point. I'm gonna die, spoiler alert. I'm gonna pass away at some point, and maybe these YouTube videos will still be around, but it's not gonna matter. None of this matters. What matters is which way we're going, up or down. And it was cool. And so now, from now on, any situation that comes through, I think, am I going to let this ruin my day, or am I going to forgive this person? And that's something that I challenge you guys to think about next time a difficult situation comes up in your life. And it's cool. It's a very relieving feeling when you let go of that pain and that anger. That's what I'll say. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. And if you have any prayer requests, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I love all of you guys, even you, Aunt Jemima, even you. Thanks for watching. And thank you for listening and hearing me out. If you got to the end of this video, I really appreciate it, because God blessed me with this channel. And because I was going, tell this story really quick. I don't know if I've ever told this story on my channel. I was going to finish my associate's degree and be done. I was going to be done with college. But I really felt God pulling me to youth ministry. So I started looking into youth pastoral programs. And then my college, the college I've chosen, I signed up for it and I took the leap, but I didn't know how I was going to make money. I work a full-time job now, but I'm not going to be able to work full-time or even part-time with the amount of classes I have. And so I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? And right at that time, like right around within that week, that's when my YouTube channel took off. Like, I started making money, and I started getting like hundreds of thousands of views. And I was like, thank you, God. Oh, cool. So I'm going to do YouTube. And so I fully believe I would not have any of the success that I have without taking that leap to go to Bible college. And God said, look, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to bless you. I just got to review a couple Ferraris. I don't even know what else I've reviewed, because I think this is going to come out in about November. I'm filming this in July. I have no idea what else God holds for me, but it's really cool. It's a really cool perspective. It's a really cool thought, to be able to do all this, but to know that God provided because I followed in what He wanted me to do. And that's another thing I could encourage people to do. If you feel God leading you to do something, take that leap of faith and trust Him no matter what, if it's financial or whatever. Take that leap of faith, because He's going to provide somehow. It might not be in the way that you're hoping or the way you think. I never thought that I was going to have a successful YouTube channel. Never thought that. But God was like, no, trust me, I'm going to bless you with this, and it's going to work out, and this will help pay for your college while you're at college, which is mind-numbing for me and such a blessing. So, yeah, that's why I do this, and I figured He deserved His own video, and you guys get a more in-depth look at me, because when I do the, hi, I'm Isaac, that's like a shtick. Like, that's like I'm acting. Like, I'm doing acting. That's what I'm doing. And so, like, I figured this was a more real video. Like, this was like real Isaac. It's not, my YouTube video me and this me is not super different. But obviously, like, I do scripting and stuff like that to entertain you guys. It's almost like a comedy show to be able to do it, and I love doing it. But I figured this would be a more like real, raw, personal look at me, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, I think I said that like 4 times already. So I'm gonna end the video now. Take care. God bless.